What's up, everybody? It's July 1st, 2016. It's Friday. Friday. Got to get down on Friday, as Rebecca Black said several years ago. And those of you who have children might realize that your kids might be the same age as the song or older. So, yay for feeling old. Hooray. Anyway, yeah. Friday, July 1st, 2016. This is Red Tokyo. I'm Jonathan. I'm here, of course. Obviously, I'm the one talking to you. And Nick is here, and Nick has stopped being a cyborg this week. All of a sudden, he gave it up for Lent, even though Lent ended like 2 months ago. Nick, how are you doing? Glad to have you back in your human body.
Well, I've never been a cyborg, number one. And also, I actually did just complete a sort of makeup Lent because I am a terrible Catholic, and I've totally forgot that Lent existed. So, but
In other words,
yeah,
you're going to hell.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, it just I was a very bad Catholic.
Okay, so how many Hail Marys and All Fathers, and I don't know how many priests have to molest you to make up for this, but long story short, what do you have to go through to make up for being a bad Catholic, Nick?
Basically, I tried to do Lent after Lent was over. So, well, since I'm diabetic, I can't really do the fasting, and the meat giving up part is a bit difficult as well. So what I usually do for Lent is I give up something that I really love. So, usually it is Diet Coke.
Masturbation.
Because... Huh?
Did you give up masturbation?
No, I gave up Diet Coke. Because I love Diet Coke, and it is... I have at least one every day, pretty much.
You know that Diet Coke actually got more sugar in it than regular
I go
Coke,
through
right?
caffeine. I basically go through caffeine withdrawals during Lent. It is actually a little bit painful.
You know that Diet Coke is actually worse for you than regular Coke, right?
That's if you actually grew up drinking regular soda, which I did not, so it's fine.
Okay, but next year, you're giving up masturbation.
No, I'm not.
You know what's like really sad about it? Me not being Catholic, I've actually tried to give things up for Lent before, just because I want to see if it makes me a better person. And a couple years in a row, I actually tried giving up masturbation. I just couldn't do it.
That's one of the more difficult things to give up, I would imagine. So I've never tried to give that up for Lent, but I could see why that would be a difficult thing to give up.
I really don't understand Catholic guilt. I mean, it's well, bad enough, not being a believer, but
well, the way I would describe the penance, which is the part where you give something up, is that it's to make you not only appreciate the things that you have more, like, how they say sometimes going without sex for a while makes you appreciate sex more sometimes, or when you're away from home for a long time, you appreciate coming home more, that sort of thing. It's also supposed to make you appreciate what Jesus went through before he was crucified. So you can relate in some very, very small manner to what he went through. That's basically what Lent's all about.
In other words, Lent is basically George R.R. Martin's Twitter feed.
No. George R.R. Martin's Twitter feed is far worse than Lent.
No. You have to give up things you like. And so the reason that I mention it is this week, and I was actually so terrified that this might be true, I didn't even go check. But apparently this week, Germ, as his Twitter handle says, tweeted, "So you guys like Liana Mormont? Ellipsis noted," and then a winky face. And no, George. She is the worst character on Game of Thrones. I hate her. I actually hope that she dies. You know.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little brat. She's talking to her elders. I mean, who does she think she is? She's just this little girl, and she's talking to soldiers and lords and people who have lots more experience than her. Like,
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah. I mean, like, this is no way a complete and total reversal from last week where we said positive things about her. No, that was what that was. That was all about the actress portraying her. You know, that's all about the actress. But like, we sincerely hate Liana Mormont.
I actually rewatched that episode, and I'm not even sure that I appreciate that actress as much as I think I was caught up in the moment for Jon Snow. I think that's what it was.
You realize that you and I are terrible, terrible people, right?
We're trying to protect the little girl, so it's fine.
Yeah, we'll just drag the entire character through the mud and, you know, say mean things about an 11-year-old because, you know, we want her to do well. God, we're terrible people.
We want her to live, damn it. You can't always, you know, just you gotta make sacrifices sometimes.
What's interesting, you mentioning sacrifices, is actually getting to real news here today. Today is the centennial of the Somme Offensive. Those of you who don't know what it is, take a moment and look it up and have some nightmare fuel. 100 years ago today, during World War I, which was 100 years ago for those of you keeping track here, the bloodiest, most costliest battle of World War I, the bloodiest day of British military history, and I believe German military history, started. The Somme Offensive lasted for 5 months. Okay, 5 months. And today there was the most astounding, beautiful thing that was done, both at the battlefield and in London. The one in London actually made me cry thinking about it. What happened this morning at 7:30 local time, after a vigil at the Tomb of the Unknown in Westminster Abbey, where they had, of course, an honor guard wearing white gloves, heads bowed, you know, and everything. It was beautiful. The Queen led a wreath and everything. But at 7:30 local time, whistles were blown. Whistles were blown also on the battlefield. And what that was to honor the soldiers who had to go over the top. Because during World War I, what happened was, in order to communicate to the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of soldiers that you had, that you needed to leave your fucking trench and then go possibly get shot in the face by someone who's probably 20, 30 feet away from you, is they use whistles. So whistles were blown to commemorate that. And that's where I kind of choked up a little bit, because my great-grandfather actually fought in World War I. Now, he was an American. American troops did not enter the war until, like, middle 1917. So, you know, he didn't see as much as these people did. Okay, but like the whistles were blown to commemorate soldiers going over the top, and they had 100 seconds of firing artillery volleys, so that that would commemorate the 100 years, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time to watch these little ceremonies honoring these people. But the reason it's important, like the number one reason that it's important to remember what happened, is not just, you know, we're supposed to remember veterans and whatnot. The reality is that during these 5 months, 1,666,000 299 soldiers would die. On July 1st, 1916, I believe it was 58,000 British soldiers died in one day. One day. That's terrible. The best way that I have heard just this one offensive described was losing the flower of a generation, because it literally cut down an entire generation of humans. And that's today. So, take a moment and think about that, because you live in a world that is now past where several million people gave their lives.
I mean, there's been so many bloody and deadly battles throughout history. Of course, the American Civil War, the U.S. Revolution, go back to Roman times when the Mongols invaded, or but the world wars were just so devastating, so deadly. Like it's hard to comprehend just how much loss there was, and we hear casualties from battles in Iraq or Afghanistan in a couple thousand, and we think of that as a lot, but I mean, just think about that: 58,000 in one day. What is that, more than both the Afghanistan and Iraq war combined? If I
We had less than
remember.
10,000 casualties in the entire war on terror that started in, I believe, October of 2001 and ended last year. Less than 10,000 casualties.
Yeah, that's less than a fifth of that one day of battle. And it's really the reason why I think the world is genuinely scared of another world war. I mean, the devastation that it could cause, it would be obviously worse than it's been in the past. It'd just be kind of, I don't know if I could fathom how much loss of life there could be.
It's scary to think about. And had the opportunity to get out and actually look at some of the trenches, because the trenches are still there. Okay, like they're still, like, of course, they're kind of filled in because it's been 150 years at this point in time since this was over with. So what you see is you're walking along, and there's just this kind of little ditch, like this ditch, or there may be, like in the case of Grant's headquarters, there was a mound of dirt that had been dug out and fortified, and you can drive around it. But his headquarters were actually up at the top of this little hill, and he could essentially oversee all the lines into in the city of Vicksburg. And that's just one city that a siege was laid to. Okay, when you think about the end of the Civil War, and it's really good you mentioned that. When you think about the end of the Civil War, the siege of Petersburg and stuff like that, that was all essentially trench warfare. About 80 years after that was World War One. Okay, the problem, like the most frightening thing to me about World War One, and I do mean generally frightening, is that our Civil War is essentially the basis for tactics in it. Okay, and I mean that quite literally. There were observers from Great Britain, Prussia, Russia, all kinds of places that came here, and they would watch our battles. Okay, because every other country wants to stay on top. Like they want to have the most recent tactics. They want to have the best equipment, everything. And so what happened is people used to send fucking observers to go watch other people fight wars. To learn from them and see what they're doing, comment on them, say, here, you can do this. It's interesting because if you read Arthur Fremantle's 3 Months in the Confederate States, He talks about, of course, being a British officer running into, I believe, a Prussian officer, a French officer, and a couple other people traveling from Texas all the way up to Pennsylvania, which is where he surrendered just after Gettysburg. He talks about running into these people and having conversations with them, and having conversations with Confederate military officers, and wanting to, and like the entire time you read it, he's wanting to know why American troops don't fight in a square of battle. Like, Americans used lines of battle, which is where they line up in big ass lines to shoot, but the British soldiers would often fight in squares. It's easier to maintain, it's fully defensible, and so on. But like I said, 50, actually, I'm sorry, it was 50 years, 50 years after that or so, World War One happened, okay? And between the end of our Civil War and World War One, you had the Austro-Hungarian War and the Franco-Prussian War. That was essentially wars where Prussia had learned our tactics. And Prussia, during the entire war, was building a rail line, because the first modern war in America, and the first modern war in world history, was actually our Civil War, because we used rail lines and everything else to get soldiers all over the country. So Prussia saw this, built rail lines, and kicked the shit out of everyone in Europe for 20 years, built an empire, and then just a few years after that, World War One started. And the war started off essentially with the idea that it was all going to be over land. So they were using modern equipment, like modern rifles and everything, and they still had soldiers carrying lances and using swords and all that overly outdated equipment, okay? And that was how the war initially fought, and then it very quickly wound up into trench warfare. And that's basically what happened in the American Civil War. The war started with soldiers, some of whom were using smoothbore muskets, and some of whom actually, like, there was at least one Lancer regiment that I'm aware of. It was from Pennsylvania, and they carried lances in the battle. They just did. That was the way things had been fought for hundreds of years. But the problem was that technology had not yet caught up with everything. And starting back in the Crimean War, the mini ball, which is it's 54 caliber musket bullet, basically, started being used, and it really didn't tend to miss, because it was in a rifled barrel. So the Civil War, a lot of soldiers used that, so it led to astoundingly high casualties, 630,000 deaths during the war. 1% of which, by the way, this is an aside here, 1% was caused by swords, knives, and bayonets. 1%. The rest of it, the majority was diseases, of course, but a lot of people were shot. And whenever you got hit by a mini ball, which weighs, I don't know, about half an ounce or so, what it tended to do was, let's say, for example, it hit you in the hand. It might come out in your shoulder, because the soft lead bullet would actually, if it hit a bone, of course it would splinter the bone because it hit so hard, but it would also kind of smush up the bullet, and then it would travel along the bone. So if it hits bone, it's going to travel along it, basically sending shock waves and crushing the bone. That's why it was so easier to amputate an arm or a leg, because it would have taken more time to properly deal with it. And just, again, as another aside here, the average length of time that you amputated arm or leg for a surgeon in the Civil War was 15 minutes, start to finish. So keep that in mind when you think about World War One. So we're talking a point in time where there were people who fought in the Civil War, people who fought in the Austro-Hungarian War and everything, that were still alive and still looking at their armies and thinking, you know what, we're going to use horses, and we're going to have giant overland movements, even though we're going to start using, this new invention, trucks, like cars and trucks are a thing now. So we're going to have that, and then eventually they started adding in planes, and then during the Somme offensive was when tanks came out. But like I said, it wound up in just this big network of trenches all the way across Europe, and the idea of defensive lines was going to save everybody. And um, I'm going to end this little spiel here with a quote from George S. Patton. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. Um, Fixed fortifications are monuments to the stupidity of man. Okay, World War One, in Patton's opinion, was essentially a war fought on stupidity because it went from open field movements to trench warfare, and that's where all the like it was just essentially a meat grinder, and hundreds upon thousands of lives were lost. Like hundreds upon thousands of millions of lost, in fact, were lost to stupidity and people not understanding the technology they have. And that's where it gets scary when you think about World War II, because World War II kind of started out with that same usage of outdated technology, and we all know how that turned out.
Well, it also makes me think, God, God forbid, because I would never want to actually find this out. But what would happen if we actually did go to a World War III today? How would the armies fight? Because there has been no major land battles really since I don't know
Vietnam.
what Vietnam, and even that the American forces were never really fully committed to the fight. Um, it like a true mobilization of troops and fighting. Um, uh, say China versus the U.S. or Russia versus the U.S. or Russia versus the Europeans, Union, NATO. It's really scary to think about because there's so many different weapons and technology now that would you I would think it'd be almost impossible to have that sort of siege warfare anymore. Um, with tanks busting through trenches and things like that, it's kind of uh, would that reduce casualties or would it exponentially increase them? It's kind of scary to think about.
It is, and see, there's an age-old adage that militaries always fight the last war, and that's kind of what happened. I mean, like the last real uh, worldwide conflict was probably Korea. Yeah, just think about that shit for a second. Just let that
Yeah,
sink in.
because
And
that's the war I was
granted, we
thinking
have had
about.
now granted we
Or
have
that's the
had
war I was thinking about before I said it, because Vietnam was probably the last major land war, but the last real land war that I can think of is probably the Korean War.
yep. And see, like now in modern times, everything is um I don't want to say this and it sound like a joke, but it's kind of push button, like that's how everything's fought. Like everything's done from a distance now, including nuclear weaponry. So there's the future right there. So on a day where a battle started where over 1.5 million people died, just think about. And then now I'm not saying end all war right now because I realize people are going to fight for like we're not going to have Star Trek future here. Let's be honest. Just kind of stop and think about what's happened in the past. I mean, like it's important. It's really, 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 really super important to stop and think about the past. But since now is probably a better time than any to talk about the future. Starting actually it was announced yesterday, but starting officially today, there is no longer a ban on transgender uh, personnel in the U.S. military. So, congratulations to everyone that makes up the T in LGBT. We're fucking proud of you.
Sorry, yeah, no, but yeah, it's it. it's stupid that this restriction was even in place. Just like almost all the LGBT restrictions have been, it's been stupid that women weren't allowed to fight. It's been there's just been so many stupid things that didn't really make sense anymore, or haven't made sense for a long time now. And I'm really glad they're getting rid of it finally. It's about time. It is about time.
I actually have a friend on Facebook. Well, I say friend, it's more like a very public figure who I was lucky enough to get to add as a friend on Facebook. Her name is Carla Lewis. Carla was actually kicked out of the Air Force years ago because Carla is transgender. Now, Carla had a very important job. If you want to know what she did, you're welcome to go find her on Facebook and look her up and see what she did. But she was kicked out because at the time, she was told she had a mental illness. And that seems to be the most common retort, or response rather, to the transgender issue. To say, well, they just have a mental illness. You were born a man. How could you think you're a woman? All this other, the reality is that we don't fucking know as much as we think we do. And I say that. Okay. I'm going to put this as pop culture-y as I can, okay? Thanks to TV shows and movies, people still think that we only use 10% of our brain, okay? So if that's the case, then 90% of the things that we know or that we think we know, we don't actually know, okay? And that's actually probably realistic. I mean, there's okay, just to give you a simple fact here to put this into perspective of how much you know and think and don't know. There's 100 billion galaxies known to exist in the entire universe. Your eyes can see 4 of them. You can see 4, okay? There's all kinds of shit out there that we have not seen yet, so quit trying to make assumptions and statements about what is and is not fact, especially, and I'm sorry, Nick, but especially if your statements are based on something that was written 2.5 to 5,000 years ago, okay? It's no longer fucking relevant. Times change. Move on already. It's time that we start admitting that there are bullshit reasons that we have done, that the royal we, in other words, humanity has done in the past, that we just need to stop. God damn it, we need to stop, okay? And this is, you might think this is unrelated, but it pisses me off whenever I see someone who is like, Molon Labe! Ah! Okay, Molon Labe means come and take it in Greek, okay? And it was used, it's been used numerous times, okay? But the reference here is the Spartans, the 300 Spartans. The reality is it was more like 1,000, 1,500 Greeks, but, whatever sounds better. Anyway,
it was more like 3,000 against 200,000.
Something. The point being, 300 sounds better when they're facing off, like a purported million soldiers. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. People who scream Molon Labe all the time have built up fantasies about the Greeks. Like especially the Spartans. Well, they were a military society. Everyone had to serve. Women knew their place. On and on. It's all this overly macho bullshit. Okay, so let me interject a small, simple fact in here to this that will ruin forever your concept of the Spartans. Male Spartans were actively encouraged not only to take young male lovers, but to rape them. Okay? The idea was that it would encourage a bond. So an older Spartan, someone who has been in the military for a while, would find a younger Spartan, and the object was, if you could not woo him to be your lover, you would just tackle him and rape him. Okay? That's the reality of Spartans. That's how they built their comradeship and their brotherhood. Homosexual behavior. Okay? You can look at the Amazonian warriors, fabled warriors who just happen to be, women. No one thinks about that, okay? Where they were from, Lesbos. It's where we get the term lesbian from, okay? Think about that shit for a minute, okay? The idols we build out of history, we often overlook certain things about them. And it's always the things that to certain people have become uncomfortable, okay? The reality is that there are a lot of gay people around you right now, a lot of lesbians, and a lot of transgender individuals, a lot of people who are bisexual, okay? They just don't talk about it. And if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. In fact, I had a very gay friend of mine one day. We were out having drinks, sitting on a table with some women who were from out of town. And after, the ladies had left, my very, very gay friend asked me, he goes, "Did you know?" And I said, "Did I know what?" Keep in mind, I'm the only straight person in this conversation here, okay? He asked me, "Did you know that only one of those was an actual woman?" I said, "No, didn't even occur to me. I didn't even care." The reality was, everyone at that table, that was a lady, except for one, had been essentially born being identified as a man, okay? At this point in time, I didn't give a shit. They were women to me, that's fine, okay? Whatever, move on. Point being, the way that you perceive someone may or may not be the truth. It's best just to ask them how they perceive themselves and go from there, okay? So banning these people and saying, well, you have a mental disorder, just kind of means that you have a forced perspective. And again, oftentimes this is based on several thousand-year-old belief systems that are fucking out of date. It's out of date. It's out of date. You throw your milk away if it's been in the refrigerator a day too long. It's time to move away from these outdated mindsets and get back to reality here, okay? We have a problem. We have a problem with the military, with recruitment. It's been going down and going down because no one really wants to serve the military, okay? And there are a lot of people who are gay and lesbian and transgender and bisexual who are denied their service because of outdated policies. And so for me to see people who are so pro-military say that this is doing nothing but weakening our military, it pisses me off. It genuinely pisses me off. Wars are not fought by childless men, so therefore we need fathers, we need mothers, we need brothers and sisters and everyone else to act, to be allowed to serve in the military, because we kind of need them. We need a military. So if you want to do more for your military, let the people who want to fucking serve. Get it over with. It's not hurting anything. It's actually strengthening anything. So to those of you who think that our army is going to be a bunch of fucking queers running around, it's been that way. They just don't talk about it, okay? Ask someone who was in the Navy, 50, 60, 70 years ago, Ask them about the red seat, because there's a reason there's a red seat, but you don't often hear about that. And the red seat, for those of you who don't know, is usually in the latrine on a ship. Now, it may not be there now, but it used to be, you had kind of like an open latrine area, and there was always a red seat. The red seat was for the gays, okay? Because everyone knew they were there, but no one wanted to actually use the same toilet with them because they didn't want to become gay, okay? Today, we would call that discrimination. Back then, it was just acknowledging, here, you're there, we know you're there, okay? It's kind of like segregation. The black people get to go upstairs and go in the back entrance, everyone else gets to go in the front. That wasn't okay then, it's not okay now. The ban's a good thing, it helps integrate society, move forward, shut the fuck up about it being the end of America.
I I don't really understand where this perception that it weakens anything comes from. It just it bugs me. They're it's a transgender individual. It's not any weaker or dumber or less capable of fighting than uh, their counterparts. It doesn't make sense to me. If you're out on a battlefield, damn it, then you need to be respected. You need to, and they're only going to let you out on the battlefield if you can fight. There's no way the army's going to let soldiers out on the battlefield that are not capable of shooting their gun and protecting their comrades and things of that nature. And it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't.
It's honestly, it's kind of stupid. I mean, realistically, if we need to have an active military, and we're having to offer more and more benefits to these people to actually get involved and to go fight and everything, why purposely limit it? Uh, Going back to the Civil War for a moment, there was always a moment of surprise for me coming across, because I was a Civil War reenactor for a long time. There was always a moment of surprise for me coming across a woman dressed as a man, and I was like, oh shit, why are you here? And she's like, well, like the first time I actually had a conversation with a woman, because I didn't know this. There were a lot of women who cross-dressed in order to fight in the war. Some of whom were given awards and had lengthy careers. There was one of the first instances of it happening was actually in the American Revolution, and the woman fought under George Washington, and she fought in several battles. And it wasn't until she was shot, actually it was after the war, that anyone realized she had been mustered out, served for the war, and she had been wounded, refused to let the doctors treat her because the doctor would have found out she was a woman. So she went the rest of the war with this, terrible wound, and then after the war was over with, she went to the doctor, and, the doctor realized, oh shit, okay, cool, whatever. She received a pension, for the rest of her days, and her family was taken care of because she was a woman who cross-dressed and pretended to be a man to fight in the war. Okay, we have had that all through our history. We talk about all these mythological figures, and we build them up and we hold them to examples, but we often overlook, little things that don't, like just kind of offend our sensibilities, I guess. So it's ridiculous.
There's been legendary female warriors throughout ancient history as well, and for us to deny their capabilities or their accomplishments is just silly. I mean, it's dumb. I mean,
just to make another pop culture example here, think about Wonder Woman. Okay, now everybody who went to see Dawn of Justice watched the movie and like, Wonder Woman's amazing! Oh my god! Best character in the movie! Ah! Wonder Woman is based on the Amazonian warrioress archetype. She's essentially from the same society as Xena, warrior princess, is from, okay? Same fucking group of people, okay? Legendary Greek warriors, all women, okay? If you play World of Warcraft, and you play a Night Elf, you play in that same exact kind of society. The Night Elven army, traditionally, made up of females, okay? Because the men are the ones who take care of, it's a matriarchal type society is what we're dealing with, okay? But because we live in a patriarchal, which is the man is better type society, we look at everything and say, well, that's the way it's got to be because I said so. No, the world doesn't all work that way. There are things that are different in China than they are here, and there are things different in Canada. By the way, happy Canada Day. But there are things different all over the entire world, because not everyone is the same, not everyone functions the same, and just like a good, nail in the head or nail on the head type moment here is Native Americans. It's people who were here before the white man came along and killed them all. Their belief was that transgender and what we would call transgender individuals were actually two halves of one soul that inhabited the same body. Because the idea behind their life was, basically their livelihood is, and this is beautiful to think about. This is something that's actually exists in more than just Native American cultures. But the idea is that your soul, when you were created, was split in half, and the other half is in somebody else's body. And so you spend your life looking for that. And a transgender individual, or someone who was intersexed, or whatever they happen to be, was actually those two souls that had never been split. And believe it or not, that's also found in Greek culture. It's also found in Greek culture. Every culture around the world has some primal, some primal belief in that shit. So please, please, please quit saying that these people have mental illnesses. Please quit saying that they don't deserve the chance to be equal and to be free and to fight for you, because I guarantee you, if you ask Carla Lewis about this, Carla will tell you that she fought for your right to discriminate her. So again, congratulations everyone who can now openly serve in the military without being discriminated against and without having to deal with stupid fucking bullshit. I'm so tired of this shit.
They can also probably kick your ass. I'm just saying.
Actually, Carla probably could kick my ass. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Well, not your ass specifically. I mean, to people giving stupid bullshit.
Wonder Woman could kick my ass.
I'm pretty sure she can kick anyone's ass. I mean, that's like stating the sky is blue, or...
The sky is blue? What?
Yeah, it is, and grass is green. I mean, as long as it's been raining.
Just, I guess, commonly accepted things here. I don't know. You know what?
Mean, if someone were to tell me that they could kick Wonder Woman's ass, I would just kind of look at them and, yeah, I would, yeah. I would consider them a crazy person.
Since we're on to the aggravating portion of the show now, at least for me, there was another terrorist attack this week, because of an outdated mind. Did I not just mention outdated mindsets, Nick?
Yeah. I mean, probably the worst part of humanity is that we hold on to things with such a deadly hold on them. And I understand where some of these things came from back thousands of years ago, where survival was a lot harder, and there may have been some very tiny social benefit to some of these rules. Like not eating pigs might have been a good thing because diseases and stuff like that. But god damn it, we should be way past some of these things by now. Way past them.
We really should be, because... Okay. I was scrolling through my newsfeed today, and someone made a good point, like an actually really fantastic point. They said when the attacks in Paris happened, everyone changed their profile pictures to a French flag. When the attack in Orlando happened, everyone changed their picture to a rainbow flag. Well, there was an attack in Turkey, and I don't see any fucking Turkish flags. I guess all of y'all have gotten used to it.
And this is not the first time I've heard that. Not the first time this has happened. There were attacks in oh god, what was it? Ghana, I think. A college or there, there was an attack on a college in Africa, which I am ashamed to say I cannot think of what country it is right now. A couple
Nick,
months ago,
Nick, Nick,
maybe?
Nick, Nick. Just be a white man in America and say it was in Africa and get it over with. Because we all know
No,
Africa's
no,
one country.
no, it is not. There's many countries with many cultures with a very rich and varied history.
No,
That's
no, no,
actually really
no, no, no.
interesting to
Look,
study.
look, look, look. As long as we're dealing with outdated mindsets, Africa is one country and everyone there is black. Right? Right. Because that totally makes sense. It's not as if there's about 1.5 billion people in the entirety of the continent. It's not as if there are not brown people in the north and really dark people in the middle, and then some almost white people, and including some white people in the south. It's not as if that's the thing. It's not as if there could be diversity there. Africa is all a giant jungle, and there's all lions, and they're all black. Oh, and they also walk around without shoes on, and they also hunt with spears. Yeah, no, fuck you if you think that.
Well, I'm afraid to inform people, but Africa actually has cities with skyscrapers and colleges and roads and yeah, it part there's a lot of developed places in Africa. Uh, yeah, but I
It's kind of
mean,
like the
there's
mindset
been
that, and I have literally had someone say this shit to me. It's kind of like the mindset that everyone in Texas wears a cowboy hat, wears boots, and rides a horse. I have boots, I don't wear a hat, and I don't own a horse. Okay? I do say
I'm
y'all.
kind of
I do drink
disappointed in
sweet
that.
tea. I do like Dr. Pepper. Like, there's a lot of things that Texans are known for that I do, but the reality is, no. Even though stereotypes exist for a reason, stereotypes are not always true. So please stop the outdated mindset bullshit and let's move on with the world. Move
I'm
on.
really disappointed that you don't have a hat and ride on a horse.
I
You
used
have
to have a
sort
hat.
of
I used to have one. And then I
you're
caught
crushing my
myself in a
dreams
mirror.
here. You're crushing my dreams.
I sincerely used to wear like this big cowboy hat. Like, it was a big black cowboy hat. It was wool. It was like one of those crushable ones. It was a nice hat. It's a wonderful hat. And then I caught myself in a mirror and I realized what I looked like. And I said, nope, not wearing it again. Because some people don't look good in a hat like that.
If I ever get to come down to Texas, or you ever get to come to my home in Maryland, or wherever we're living at the time, I demand that you show up on a horse in a cowboy hat with boots on. I'm
Fuck you.
sorry, but you have to do that.
Fuck you.
No, we're gonna take a picture of it. We're gonna put it on the show. We're gonna comment on how this is what a Texan is,
No.
and yeah, because that's the outdated stereotypical thinking that people apparently have. So we're gonna embrace all of those stereotypes. We're gonna embrace them.
I will wear a button-up shirt and a string tie, and you're going to be happy with it. I do actually have a string tie, and those of you who are wondering why I'm saying string tie and not a bow tie, they're different. Don't be a dumbass. Even though I actually do have a bow tie, but just an amusing fact of the day here. The string tie is the official state tie of Texas. So if you're a Texan, you're supposed to own one, and I own one, and I have boots. Like I said, there are some things that I do, some things that I don't do. It's like being an atheist. Supposedly everyone in Texas believes in God. I don't.
I did not know that about the string tie. That was That's kind of cool to learn.
But okay, look. Since we're being educational and we're talking about outdated mindsets and stupid bullshit people think, holy fuck, okay. The ugliest man in the U.S. government, Trey Gowdy, and I'm not fucking joking. Look up pictures of this man, and for those of you who think I'm ripping off of what's his name on, took he took over. I can't remember his name. He took over the other show. Anyway, he kind of made this joke. No, the reality is that Trey Gowdy is a string bean looking individual. He's thin, red faced, white hair, and he really does have some of the worst haircuts I've ever seen on a human being. Like, he makes Donald Trump look like a model. Okay, he's that ugly. God, I hate this man. Anyway, Trey Gowdy this week released the ninth NINTH, one more than 8, one less than 10 report on Hillary Clinton. 9, NINE, 9 reports. It is 800 pages long. Every time someone has asked him what it says, his response is, "Well, why don't you go read it?" Like he's a giant fucking 3-year-old. I don't know. Anyway, 9th report. And do you know what's in the 9th report, Nick?
A lot of words that say the same thing in the other 8 reports.
Let's do it in a Sesame Street manner, okay? N-O-T. No, fuck it. Nothing. There's nothing. I was going to sing the word nothing, but that would be kind of pointless. There's nothing in the report. 800 pages of nothing. It's just words, angry words, and there's been 9 of them. And the tag, the price tag for this was $7 million just on the report. So let's do some math here. Nick, you're going to be my human calculator, okay? This way everyone, is not thinking, well, Jonathan is just pulling out a calculator and typing. No, Nick, you're going to do the math for me, okay? So let's say they all cost $7 million. What is 7 million times 9?
That would be $63 million.
Okay, how many taxpayers are there in the United States?
Probably 200 million, I think.
It's about 120 million. Okay, so divide 120 million into 63 million.
200 million eligible taxpayers. But anyways, if we were to use 120 million, that means everyone's roughly paying $500,000.
Every taxpayer, right?
Roughly.
Yeah. Okay. How much is a new car, Nick? No. Wait. Better yet. Let's do let's do this. Okay. 63 million divided by, I don't know, 800.
$800? 800,000?
Just the 63 million divided by 800, and I'll tell you in a second.
It's like 9,000. I think.
That's how much it cost per word.
Wait. No. 8,000. About, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I actually figured this shit out earlier. I forget how I wound up to this. But something like $73,000 per page. Yeah, that was it, because they're 800 pages. It's like $73,000. Anyway, that's essentially the price of a new car per page. You could buy 16 of them per book, because they're $7 million each. Let's see. each report, actually this report right here, would have paid the average monthly amount of money that's given to people who are on welfare or food stamps, which is $125. It would have bought that for about 630 some odd people per report. You could have fed 630 people for a fucking page out of this book, this report.
It's kind of a sad reflection on American tax spending when we look at our military budget and we look at these reports and inquiries, and I just want to ask why. Why are we spending money on this?
Because we have to get Hillary Clinton. We have to get her.
I could understand.
And then the best
I could
part.
maybe understand the first report. I can understand the first report, maybe. Okay, fine. You want to have an inquiry into what happened? Sure, go ahead. But why are there 8 more?
Because, and again, this is ripping off the Daily Show, and I'm sorry, comparing him to the dude from The Big Lebowski. But I have new information. What new information do you possibly have? Did you find out that someone took a shit on Hillary Clinton's front lawn and that's somehow important? No. Let it go. I mean, like, since the report came out, Trey Gowdy has lost a large number of supporters. It doesn't surprise me. Because, again, if there was nothing in the first report, nothing in the second one, and then in the third, it's not accidental at this point in time. You know, you're not going to find anything new. It's like looking for Noah's Ark. It's not there. It's not there. You're not going to find evidence of it. You know, better yet, let's go to a deeper scientific thing here. It's like looking for the fabled missing link, okay? Or, you know, as Bill Nye would put it, trying to find a single fossil out of place from where you should find it. You're not going to come across that. It's just not there. There is nothing that Trey Gowdy and the people in Congress with him have found against Mrs. Clinton. Nothing. And he's already said that it was nothing but an attempt to try and derail her election, okay? And then this week, the crown jewel in this fucking clown show of his is to say that this is not timed, like the release is not timed to have an impact on the election. Yes, it is. You red-faced, stupid-haired, lying bastard. That's exactly what it is. You're trying to derail her election because you want her to not win. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really like Mrs. Clinton, but I think if you're going to investigate what happened in Benghazi for how many years, like 3 years ago, you know, and you want to have an investigation, that's fine. If the first investigation found nothing, that's fine. If other evidence turns up and you want to have another one, that's fine. Don't have 9 of them where you find nothing every time and then release to the public and say, well, there's still something going on here. There's still something going on. Yes, what's going on is that Benghazi was a terrible thing. People died and they shouldn't have, okay? We can do more to prevent another Benghazi. We can do more to provide security for our ambassadors. We can do more to provide security for our compounds. But for God's sake, we don't need to have a witch hunt because 4 people died and you want to make a political point off of it by saying she's unfit for the fucking job. You know what? Just stupid statements like that actually make me want to go ahead and vote for her because she's done more in her political career than someone like Trey Gowdy ever has. And that's the honest truth. And you know what? I probably will vote for her just because of that. Just because I don't want Trump to win. You know? That's the reality here. She's actually done something. I don't agree with what she's done, but she does have a political career. And if that's the option, if the option is her versus someone who's going to waste 127 trillion taxpayer dollars. I'll go for her every fucking day of the week. Okay, let it go at some point in time. 4 people died in Benghazi. It's terrible. Move on. Amend the issue that is there, that there was apparently a cry for help. It wasn't responded to. Do more to respond for it. Do more to provide security for our ambassadors, okay? But the reality is 13 soldiers disobeyed orders to go, save people who were already dead. They'd been dead for about 5 hours at that point in time. So they were going to go relieve them. If you see whatever it is, the movie that was about it with John Krasinski in there. They disobeyed orders to go, to relieve people. Of course, when they get there, everyone's dead. The reality is, and this is in every report. This is in the State Department report. This is in the FBI report, CIA, and all the Gadget reports. The reality is there was a cry for help, and the decision was made to not send anyone because it was uncertain whether they could have gotten a helicopter there or a convoy there or whatever and gotten everyone out safely. Okay? Because the idea was, the concept was, is that more people could have died other than the 4. Yes, the 4 losses are terrible. Move on. Establish a better system of security. Whatever it takes, just fucking do that instead of wasting all this money on reports that find nothing. It's useless at this point in time. It's a waste of taxpayer money, and anyone who supports this man is a joke.
And the really sad thing is that there are so many better ways that some of these inquiries could have gone. Like you said, you could have used, I don't know, 3 of them to look for better ways to prevent something like this from happening again. You could have used them to analyze the defenses of our current embassies around the world, and made plans on what to do if such a situation were to happen again. There's just it's kind of just there were things that could have been applied to all of that money to just better uses of money. Stop using our money for political games, please. It's just, it doesn't make any damn sense.
I'd yell more, but I don't think I really want to lose my voice. I mean, it's Friday. There's got to be something going on. No, there's not. I'm gonna play World of Warcraft all weekend like I always do.
Yeah, I mean, unless you like sports, I could give a sports report. I mean,
no one cares about your sports.
It's been a slow week. I mean, I literally don't know what else to talk about other than really stupid politicians, warfare things. I mean, it's the drawl days of summer as we get ready for, it's when everyone should be going outside and learning to embrace nature, I guess, or not get heat stroke. I don't know.
I don't know. Really, I mean, I'm just...
We're here, we're depressed, and we're trying not to die from global warming. That's basically what this show is.
No, global warming's not real. What are you talking about?
It's real, and don't make me smack you.
No, 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 no. It's not real.
I there's like mountains, literally mountains of scientific evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you have fun dying in the heat, or natural
I live in
disasters,
Texas. I'm
or
kind of used to the heat at this point in time. Unlike you Yankees up there up north, and you're oh no.
no,
This is what
no.
we're going. This is what we're
Wait,
going
wait,
to end.
wait,
No,
wait.
shut up,
No,
shut up.
wait, wait, wait,
Shut
wait,
up.
wait, 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 wait. No, no, no. Actually, in DC has worse heat probably than you do. And I'll
No,
tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because DC is located in the motherfucking swamp. And do you know what that means? We have humid heat. We have the sort of heat that most people cannot fathom. And it's actually really, really interesting. There was even an article in the paper talking about how much worse humid heat is than a dry heat, which is what a lot of the country knows.
I live in East Texas. I am about 30 minutes away from uh, well, actually about 45 minutes away from the Red River. Over here where I'm at, there is a swamp just north of town. There's kind of swamps all the way around. It's like there's a water everywhere. So 100 degrees here, and by the way, it typically averages during summer 115, upward sometimes upwards to 120. So you add all the humidity to that, and yes, it's worse here than it is there. In fact, I remember several years ago, even with all the humidity, we had a wildfire. Like it was burning all the way around my town. Um, you could see like the smoke from it was weird, and like ash was actually falling in the fucking yard from fires that were 2 miles away. Point being, Texas will kill you. Yay! And I live here. No, so you can bitch about DC being hell, but the reality is DC is hell because that's where Congress is. That's where all the people who don't do their jobs are. That's where all the waste of money is. So that, like, really, if you're going to be angry about something, I would say be angry about that.
I try to find, some reason to blame the end of the world happening other than that, and I fail at every chance. That's all. That's all
The
I
end of
can
the
say.
world will happen because of Washington, D.C. It will happen because of D.C.
Yeah, and I try to blame other things. Our failures of sports teams, the swamp that we were built on, the possible Native American burial grounds that are hidden that haunt us. Um, but really, it's all because of Congress.
Oh, to be Canada today. No, I'm sorry, Canada. You can have your one day, but this is Fourth of
Actually,
July
actually,
weekend.
you know what? No, no, you know what? I'm gonna end this on a positive note. Happy
No,
Canada Day, Happy Canada Day, and I'm really sorry that the Blue Jays lost today because they put up a hell of a fight, and it was a really cool game to see. So yeah, there you go. There's sports, and Canada and Canadians are cool. So hello to all the Canadians.
okay, yeah, I guess Happy Canada Day up there with your free health care and your nice, clean environment and your super politeness and your field upon field of maple syrup. Oh, and poutine, poutine. We can't forget poutine. French fries, like French fries and gravy and cottage cheese, just sounds like the nastiest thing in the world. But all you fuckers love it. So happy Canada Day, and enjoy your. I I don't know.
They also have an infinitely cooler leader than we can ever hope to have.
Oh, but he physically assaulted someone a while back, so he's not that cool.
Compared to Trump and Clinton.
Actually, didn't we discuss Trudeau when it happened? I think we did.
I don't remember, but I mean, compared to Trump and Clinton, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Canada's better. But okay. For those of you who don't know what happened, Justin Trudeau was trying to literally strong arm someone into coming to vote because he was tired of the vote being delayed. It was over healthcare. I don't remember. I have to look it up. Anyway, he accidentally bumped into a female member of parliament, and she was so wounded, and her arm was red, and he hurt her. So she missed the vote because she had to go outside and cry. If you watch the video, he accidentally bumps into her, okay? The man apologized like 6 times that day. Okay, he's like, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had bumped into her that hard. I didn't know she was there. I'm sorry. He's like, can we go on? And people in Canada would not let it go. It was like he had walked up to the bitch and just punched her in the face. Okay? Now, I know I shouldn't say bitch. That's wrong. I'm sorry. But the reality is, this was a social justice warrior reaction to being bumped into, and if that's really the only problem that Canada has to deal with, is that someone bumped into you in the government a little too roughly, and it kind of upset your day to the point that you want to act like someone on the internet and be angry about it, Canada's better than the United States is.
Well, I'm not sure about that, because, we're the US, and there's really no plausible reason that we're better than Canada, other than being the US. But, if you want to be...
USA! 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 USA!
Exactly.
USA! USA!
And that's all that we need.
Tis of the sweet land of liberty, for thee I sing.
I just put my
Land where
hand
my fathers died.
on my heart.
Land of the Pilgrim's Pride.
There's an eagle outside now.
From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday indeed.
Even though it's not really your fucking birthday, because people can't tell the difference in between, the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the signing of the Constitution, and the Constitution becoming an actual document. Because it's the Constitution that actually makes us a country. That was 1789. Go ahead and keep your outdated belief and say the Declaration is what made this country. It's not.
Who cares?
That's right. Who cares? That's right. Who cares?
There are fireworks and eagles
and hot dogs and beer. Oh, please. Okay. Look, I know you wanted to end the show positively, but I have to make a serious announcement here. If you have a neighbor who is former military and you're going to set off fireworks, please go over and speak to them. A lot of people who are in the military have PTSD, especially if they're a combat veteran, and you can literally trigger them. I have a good friend who can't be around, like he can do all kinds of things. Like, he loves going to shoot guns. He likes loud movies and stuff like that. But fireworks will set him off, and he kind of curls up into a ball. Okay, so just be, aware of what could possibly upset your neighbors this holiday. And also, for the love of all that is holy, do not shoot your guns into the air while screaming, Murica! Because the bullets have to land somewhere, and there have been people and animals and killed and property damage from dumbasses like that doing that. So please, please, just because you saw a video of a bunch of Arabs doing it at a wedding doesn't mean you need to do it for America's birthday, okay? Just stop. For one, they're in the middle of a desert. You know, there's no one around. Like, they're specifically out in the middle of a desert where no one will get hit. So just, you know, don't be stupid.
Yeah, so America, and be the America that, you know, you think that you actually are. So
Be all that you can be
America.
in the army.
Exactly.
Yep. Anyway, that's going to be it. So please like this video, comment on it, share it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, message us on Facebook and tell us what you have to think. Comment on it there. By the way, just an update. We, at some point in time, soonish, will be doing the other broadcast availability thing. So, like, just keep an eye out for that. It's mostly getting it set up in a method in which we can actually do the show live here on YouTube and then live on the other platform. And hopefully, there might be a way we could actually broadcast live to Facebook too. So there wouldn't be all these unnecessary edits and everything. But anyway, well, actually, they're not unnecessary because we have to take out Nick threatening to kill me every 5 seconds.
I actually think that people enjoy that part of the show. I really don't get why you take it out.
Look, damn it, I had just timed it, you know, the 5 seconds for you to scream, I'm going to kill you, and you just didn't do it. What gives, Nick?
It's more of me outsmarting you and making you do more work.
Sure. But anyway, yes, we will soon have another method to reach us, or to at least watch us live. So, look forward to that. Look forward to the Monday show the day after, the 4th of July. It will be the 5th of July. No, wait, I'm sorry. Monday will be the 4th. Yeah, holy shit. Okay, there will be no Monday show because for some reason I was thinking that Monday was the 5th. I'm terrible at telling days. So no, there will be no Monday show. Look for us on Wednesday because we missed last week because Nick was being pulled from his robot body. Anyway, hopefully we'll be getting Brandon on soon because there's some things that I want his opinion on in the toy world. So we will talk to all of you next week. Have a very, very safe and happy 4th of July. And again, happy birthday, America.
Wait, is there something about Canada? I don't remember.
No one cares about Canada, just like no one cares about you.
I guess. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.